Go ahead, put it on real tight. Hope you brought your best tonight. They say they got the fireworks, yeah, they say they got the show. You're around the shoots, you're the best, so let's go.
This is Texas Toast, a production of TSE Entertainment. I'm your host, Miss Helen. Kick back and enjoy as we toast the best from Texas.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Texas Toast. I'm Miss Helen, along with a guy that does so many things, has had so many hits on the Texas music chart, and I want to welcome James Lann. Of course, James, welcome to the podcast, and also welcome to our TSE Entertainment family.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That's a big welcome.
Yes, I was so excited. It kind of worked out because Kyle and I do a rap once a week called Texas on Tap. And I had found everydayers, and I know I was running behind on that, but I highlighted the song. And the next thing I know, it was like, you're everywhere. You're with us here at TSE Entertainment. So it's a pleasure to visit with you. I love your music. And I want to talk about, we're going to get to your musical accomplishments, but I want to talk about your background growing up. You're a true cowboy.
Well, I grew up on cattle ranches in Arizona, New Mexico, and my dad still has a cattle ranch to this day, about 100 square mile place out near the Arizona, New Mexico border up near St. John's. So, yeah, I grew up, herding cows, basically.
Working hard.
Yeah.
So you grew up there. In between there and coming to Texas, am I missing a gap? Was there anything you did college or anything like that?
No, I actually moved to Texas when I was around 18, 19 years old, and pushed through and started playing music, and just kept doing that. We played my first band we started playing in. It was a local band, and we around the Houston area. And then it graduated to playing from Key West to Cheyenne, Wyoming, 6-7 nights a week for a long time. And then once we transferred to doing all original music, then it changed again. So,
well, and not only but you also played internationally. I saw some of the. Yes. How did that work for you? I mean, you were like Germany, Italy. You were all over the place.
Yeah, our first show, honestly, overseas. It's hard to remember exactly how it all came about, but we had a rodeo in France that contacted us. And just out of the blue, it's kind of half French, half English, and couldn't really understand it. Had to Google translate it. And I'm sure if it had been most people, they would just put it in their junk mail file, as next to the Nigerian prince, that owes you all the money.
Right.
So, I went through that and talked to him, and he was like, yeah, we love your music, and we want to fly you out here, pay for your, airfare, and pay you to come play our rodeo. And there was other headliners that, I went and looked them up online, and they were legit. So I was like, that's great. And I started thinking about it. I was like, well, this could be once in a lifetime. This could be the only time I ever get to do this. So I was like, hey, do y'all mind if we come in early? Like, do we come in a week earlier or 2 weeks earlier or whatever, And he said, I don't care where you come in, as long as you're here to play your show. We're paying for your tickets. So we actually worked with some people that we knew in Italy and did a couple of shows out there, and then came to France and did that show. And that started a relationship with some guys out there that were other musicians. And now I still have a touring group in Europe for when I go over there. So they tour with like Daryl Worley and a lot of people like that, Buddy Jewel. They kind of back them as well. And so I've got guys over there. They're really cool, and they're like family. So yeah, it turned out to be a really cool thing. And we've gone over quite a few times, and sometimes for a day, sometimes for 45 days, it just depends on what's going on.
Wow. I bet that's a tremendous experience. And I've interviewed, excuse me, a lot of Texas artists over the years that did the international thing. And they said it was so rewarding because they would go and they would be performing, and a lot of the people didn't even speak English or understand English, but like they could hum along to the songs, or they would sing along, like they knew the music, but there was just kind of that barrier, but still it was like this big camaraderie and like just a really good, enjoyable bonding experience.
Yeah, the fans over there, I mean, they're out to really hear something. They enjoy what they're doing. They may not even know you, but they will afterwards. And some of the places, I mean, there's 500, 1,000 people sitting in chairs without clapping. It's like they're watching. they're paying attention to you, and it's not just like they're getting drunk and having a good time and don't really care what's going on in the background. They really are paying attention, and some of them know your music, and they all want to take pictures and hang out, and it's really cool. It's really yeah, like you said, it's a rewarding thing.
A big treat for them. So looking at your accomplishments in music, and I'm so impressed because like I spent like a way long time in radio, and Texas music was always my wheelhouse. That's when it started coming up from the very beginning. Like I was on top of it. And for you to accomplish everything that you've accomplished on the Texas Regional Radio Report, the Texas Music Charts, that is a heavy hitting chart. That's not easy. And to look at your phenomenal numbers with 9 #1 hits, and the latest one, let's start off talking about Devil's Red Hot Sauce and your hot sauce, your whole hot sauce thing.
Right.
So tell me about this song and just the story behind it. It's a great tune, and then we'll go from there.
All right, well, we'll start with the hot sauce itself.
Yes.
My wife came up with the idea. That was the really cool. We always try to come up with a cool idea for a song. It usually happens every other song. It doesn't happen every song. Like Everydayers didn't get a promotion like that, but Watered Down Whiskey kind of got some whiskey glasses and some whiskey sponsor and that kind of thing. And then Devil's Red Hot Sauce was like, okay, we have to do a private label hot sauce. So we do have those for sale on the internet. We've got 2 brands. We've got a habanero garlic, which is called the Spicy Uncle Mitch, because my buddy Mitch Connell was a co-writer on the song. And then we've got the regular kind. But we were testing the other day some new hot sauces to try and find the right one. And I don't like I can't handle hot sauce. Like I can handle hot sauce, but not like hot sauce.
Right.
And so we've got one that we're going to name after a song that we had on the second record called Cowboy Killer. And it's
I listen to that.
Yeah, and so it's like a Carolina Reaper, ghost pepper type.
What?
Rip your face off. Yeah, I did a live tasting of it, and all I did was put a little bit on a toothpick, and I about died. So if anybody wants to watch me look like an idiot, they can find that on Facebook if they want to find it. But so yeah, the song itself, I was running back in 2013. I wrote the song in 2014, and I wrote it. I was touring with Granger Smith. I was listening to him on my tour bus. I was literally driving my tour bus for him and doing shows with him because he was just getting where he was needing a bus, and I had mine at the time. And we were in Corpus Christi when we were at Brewster Street Ice House. And we were talking about how to write songs and what inspires us. And he's like, usually I just look around the room and see what's around. And I looked up and I saw Frank's Red Hot Sauce sign.
Love it.
And it took me a few minutes to put it together. But once I put it together, it was cool. And then later on, when we got off the road, I finished it up with my buddy Mitch.
Love that story. Just see what's in the room and write a song. And then move into Everydayers. That is such a smooth song, and it's just such a positive. It's like something you want to wake up in the morning and listen to.
Awesome. Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. People to enjoy the music. And I wrote that one with 2 of my buddies. Actually, it was the first time I got to write with my buddy Matt Kennan. He has a song called "The Call." He's got other material, obviously, but it's like 25 million views on YouTube. It's ridiculous. And my buddy Brian Keith Burns, who used to play for Trick Pony. Yeah, we wrote that song at his house, and we had a good time with it. I had come up with the idea. I was like, the word Everydayers. I was like, well, I have this word, Everydayers.
Well,
they're like, well, that's not a word. And I said, well, it's my word.
Well, that one word made a wonderful song. And then, of course, another number 1 you had was Watered Down Whiskey.
Yep. And that one's another one I co-wrote with my buddy Mitch. And same thing with that one. Just that one was just came to me, and it was a positive message type song. Like not a. I try to go for that most of the time. And sometimes growing up with sad country songs, I do like my sad country songs. So.
But you do have a lot of positive ones, but I wanted to highlight those because this is a huge accomplishment, knowing what that chart represents. But those songs hit the top 200 for 2020 for the most radios. I mean, so that gives you like what you had most radio spins you had to, because it had to go into recurrence and kept playing and playing and playing.
I didn't even recognize that. I knew we had 3 in the top 200. I did not recognize myself until TSE posted it on there. I had the most spins for 2020 on radio, and I'm like, oh, I did. Out of all the songs, because most of the guys had 1 or 2 songs on the chart, and I had 3 on that year. Just the way it falls, you know, the way we'd released our schedules. So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
And I used to always follow those because especially in radio, we would always have that downtime between Christmas and New Year's. And so I would always highlight the you know, the most played on the chart and do a wrap for the whole year. And I know what that accomplishment is, and that is gigantic. And then in 2016, you were CMA, Texas CMA Outstanding. Well, you were the Texas Artist of the Year in 2016.
Yeah. That was fun. That was neat. We actually, I literally had just come back from Europe, and I got back just in time to be able to get there to accept the award. It was like one of the, like the same day or day and a half or something like that. I just got off the plane and had to rush to. Luckily, it was in near Houston where they were having the event, and I think I flew in on the international flight and drove down there. So
Wow. So just looking, I mean, just that little bit of chatter and chit chatting about your music. So when Cowboy James came to Texas, what was your plan? Had you already written songs? Were you singing while you were on the ranch? Did you sing when you were young? Just kind of, it's just amazing what you've done. So I'm just picking your brain to see how you got to where you are.
When I came, I didn't have a solid plan. I knew that there was 3 things I was going to do. I wanted to play music, and I had really gone and done my research and figured out there was 3 places in the country you wanted to, if you're going to play country music, there's 3 places you could go. And it was either Los Angeles, which is like the Bakersfield type deal, or Nashville, or my buddy lived in Texas who played for Texas Artists and stuff. And I chose Texas because I was like, I actually worked for Discount Tire at the time because I'd gotten a job in town so I could work, and they had Discount Tires in Texas. So that pretty much signed me up.
There you go.
And then it just went from there, where it took me a little while to practice and to learn and to learn about sound engineering and all that kind of stuff, because I do all that for our music. And it took a little while, but we got it going. And my first band, like I said, it was unique in the Houston area. It was a band, and they had called themselves Night Rider, and it was I thought it was hilarious when I first saw it, because I was like, oh, the car? And they're like, no, like knights, like in armor. And I'm like, you're a country band. What's going on with this name?
So Night Rider, that was the band, because I'm from the Houston area. Where all did y'all play in Houston back in that?
Oh, we played all over the south side of Houston, all over the pub, Marguerite's, Eddie's Ballroom, all the places that the Kicks in Angleton, all the places that you can play out there.
Yes.
Yeah. We and back in and they were Eddie's was still there, and there's a ton of other places too. So we played all over the place down there, and I think I was with him for, it seems like forever, but it was probably a year and a half. And then I started my own group, and we started playing we played Cheyenne Frontier days in Wyoming all the way to Key West. We played everywhere.
That's okay.
And then, like I said, and then I realized that playing cover tunes and just 1 or 2 of my original songs wasn't going to cut it, and then we started doing the original music. And so, yeah, it was
and then
transition.
When you moved to original music, I mean, your library is like huge. Yeah. So your first album, well, I see 2007, you came out with the album Ford.
Yep.
Was that your first album?
That was my first album. So the first single that we ever released was FORD, and it was in 2015. And I didn't know anything about anything, and I ran around with a friend of mine who had released a song, and so we got huge airplay in Leesville, Louisiana, and I did shows out there because of it, and the radio and everything. It was my first taste of that kind of stuff with my original music. And when we released the record in 2007, we called it FORD because I was like, well, I need to let people know that that's who I am. Even if they only played it once, at least they'll remember. And so we were doing my radio tour that I'd set up, and I got to Corpus Christi, and Big Daddy D with KBSO, he had me in, and I was doing an interview with him, and we were talking about my single, So You're From the Country Too. And it was a song written by friends of mine, Mitch Stevens and Billy O'Rourke. And we were doing this interview, and he was like, oh, nice. It was really, everything was great. It was a really good interview. And he didn't make me feel nervous or anything. And we're sitting there, and he goes, well, play me another song. I said, well, we released this song a few years ago, but it didn't get played anywhere except for like Louisiana. And he's like, okay. And I started playing it, and his eyes got big as silver dollars.
I love
and then
it.
I'm playing the song. He leaves the studio and goes, grabs the 2 or 3 other people that are working there and brings them
Yeah.
in. And they're looking at me and pointing at me and I'm going, what the heck is going on?
Yay.
I didn't know. I was that made me nervous. Like I didn't know if I'd done something wrong or, I had no idea. And when I got done playing that, he goes, man, you don't know this, but he said 2 years ago, that song was like the most requested song in Corpus on 3 stations for like 6 months. And I was like, well, I wish y'all would have let me know. So
Right.
anyway, so it worked out, but it was pretty cool. So
Okay. So how many other albums have you had since?
we've had 3 albums out, and we're working on releasing our 4th album now.
Yeah, we're going to get to that because I want to talk to you about what you have upcoming. But I just made some notes on some of the songs that stood out to me. Like, of course, I loved Everydayers. Another song that really I listened to over and over, and I was even doing some stuff outside yesterday. I love 40 Miles Down 25.
Yeah.
Deep in the Heart of this Texan. And I want to talk to you about Real Life Heroes, the video.
Yeah. So Real Life Heroes, we did, I had no intention of doing any of that stuff. There was the bad hurricane, Hurricane Harvey was in Houston. I lived in Houston for 15 years, and I knew how bad it was going to be. And I just woke up one in the morning of like, I had some property up here and offered people to come park their trailers or whatever they needed to do to get out of there. And everybody seemed to be not leaving. And I was like, this is not good, because I remember Allison, we had half as much rain in that amount of time, and it flooded everything, and it was bad. And they were talking about 4 or 5 times as much water in a shorter amount of time. And I was like, these people are not listening. They should just not listening. So by Sunday, I knew it was really bad when there was stuff was going on Saturday, Sunday. And I literally asked everybody if I could borrow a boat to go down there to help. And I borrowed a boat, head down there. We helped people for 4 or 5 days, all the way from Houston to Port Arthur. And then I came home and I sat down, and I was like, I was exhausted and worn out and didn't know how to, just get done with the week, because it was, there's a lot of stuff that happened.
Yes.
And so I literally grabbed the guitar and I wrote the song really quick. It was boom, just came out of me. And I did a little YouTube video of it, and that, not YouTube, but I just did a Facebook video of it, and it got like 20,000 views. And I'm not used to, that's a lot of views and stuff, just for, within a day or two. And so we're like, well, let's do a video and try to help and do that kind of thing. And 2 of my buddies helped out. Bart Rose from Fort Worth Sound helped me. We cut the song in Georgia. I wasn't even there. I had my friends cut the song. They shipped it back to me. We refined it, got it fixed. I did the vocals at Fort Worth Sound and Fort Worth, and then my buddy helped us record the video right here, and we put it all together with iPhone video too that I used and stuff from down there, and it just worked out. So
I love it. And I encourage everyone that's listening into the podcast to go on to James' website, jameslann.com, because we're here on the coast. I mean, I was in the middle of Harvey, and then we had some friends, because actually it was headed towards us, and then it made that little jog, and then it went around in the circle, and we had it bad here, but not as bad as we were supposed to get. However, we have a really, really good friend of ours. We call him Kenny Duck, and he lives in the Memorial area of Houston, and we call him Kenny Duck because he's like a duck guide, and he's obsessed with duck hunting. That's his thing. But he was in that area where the Addicts Dam had broke and started coming down Memorial Drive and into his neighborhood, and he got in his duck boat and he started rescuing people. I think he rescued like 100 people, but there were so many stories that came out of that. And like what you did, it's touching. So I encourage everyone to go look at that video. And then another project I saw, and I actually saw this on our TSE site, Memory Like You, that project video.
Yeah. My wife, another idea that she came up with, she is really good with that kind of stuff, very much so. We set up and actually did that. Me and her put that together ourselves, built it on our computer, and it's a lot of pictures of our family and people, and memories of loved ones and that kind of stuff that people sent in. And it was just, I don't know, that song I wrote with a guy named Jake Worthington, which y'all should know.
I know Jake.
Jake's great artist, and Aaron Copeland. We wrote that song together, and yeah, it's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah. So what are you looking at? Okay, so first of all, let's talk about live shows. So
Sure.
what's your favorite part of performing live?
Getting out there and seeing the fans interact with the music and seeing how they like it. I mean, that's just being able to play, and the biggest part is playing with my group, my guys. You know, even if it's for a short amount of time, just being able to get out there and play. For all of COVID, we really didn't get to get out of the house, basically.
Oh yeah.
And it's been rough on everybody in the music industry, and just being able to get back to being playing and that kind of thing is, yeah, being able to get the music out there. You know, it's I can't even explain that. It's hard to put in words.
It's what you do. It's what you were called to do. So tell me about your band members and where they're from.
Well, we're actually in the process of retooling everything. We just put new guys in the group because of COVID. So my guys have played for you know, Wade Bowen and Aaron Watson, and they're from all walks. My drummer that we just put to work, my bass player who played for Josh Abbott and Josh Greider, he brought me a new drummer. And I was like, oh, cool. And because these guys are professional guys and top of the line, best you can find in Texas, or half the country for that matter. And he brought me a guy, and his name's Richard. And we did our first show without a rehearsal, and it went off without a hitch. He was really good. And then he goes, and we were talking the next day, and he's like, yeah, that's the first show I've done in 7 years. I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad you didn't tell me that yesterday. Like, so he had some problems, and his leg was almost severed and lost, and so it took him a long time to come back and everything. And he's been a great addition to the group, and we're just excited. And we're always on the lookout for new and exciting musicians. In this business, you can never, especially with COVID, everything's so much up in the air right now, and that stuff is that's the hardest thing about the touring life, is that, you know, everybody has families, and everybody has to make a living. And so sometimes, you know, you might catch us with a different guitar player, but it's always a unique experience, and it's always a good one. It's fun because we get the little quirks, and they always know the material because we know them. They know our material, but it's the fun of on stage antics and that kind of stuff. That's fun thing too, is having guys that you know that you don't get to play with every day, that you get to play with, that kind of thing. So
yes, you've played with a lot of heavy hitters. Who's some of the favorite people that you've shared the stage with, or did festivals and shows together?
Oh geez, that's a hard one. Over the years, we've shared the stage with some really awesome acts. Oh gosh, that's a hard question. Probably, you know, the most memorable stuff. We did a show one time. I did a show, and this is just Texas country guys. I did a show with Matt Martindale and Larry Joe Taylor, and all three of us were on the stage together, song swapping. And,
oh yeah.
So it's us three, you know, and it was in front of about 8,000 people for the first year that they had the Texas Outlaws and Legends. And it was before they moved to their new place. It was literally out in somebody's pasture.
Love it.
And it was fun. And they actually had David Allen Coe headline that night, which was a whole nother ball game.
How fun was that?
But it was,
so was that when Matt was still Coup de Grace, or he was on his
own?
No,
he was doing his own thing. And Coup de Grace had been broken up for a little while.
I always loved them.
It was after all that. And so yeah, Matt's awesome. And then Larry Joe's awesome. I mean, the whole, you know, all those guys are really cool. And I got to meet Gary P. Nunn that day because I did a version of Wildfire, which is an old Michael Martin Murphey song. And my buddy JB Cloud was in the audience, who's the KBCY. He works there. He's a DJ in Abilene. And he came up to me afterwards, said, I want to introduce you to somebody. And I was like, okay. And he's like, this is Gary P. Nunn. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah. And he goes, Gary came up to me outside and he told me, and he said that there's only two people that can sing that song. And that's Mike Murphy and that boy right there. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And So he ended up coming back on our bus and drinking all my wine, but I enjoyed meeting him.
How fun was that? Now, didn't you and Jason Allen team up and record Wildfire?
Yes, yeah.
I thought I
Jason's
saw that on
really,
your music library. Yes.
I've known Jason for almost 20 years, and I've since we were both real young, and his music, he was putting out stuff, and I was following him. I loved his first record, and you got to meet him and hang out with him, and then over the years just created friendship, and we put a song on my second record called I Owe You One, and it's about being friends and stuff like that, just having fun, and it was really cool. And then on that same record, we had a buddy of mine, Chuck Allen Floyd, and Jason come in and sing on it, and so another song, and it was really cool, a really cool time. We put those as extra tracks on the record, so yeah, it's pretty fun.
Awesome stuff. So what do you have coming up in the future? Are you working on a new album?
Yeah, we're trying to get that finished now. Hopefully over the next few months we'll have that finished. We're gonna have a new single coming out. We haven't figured out. We've got 3 songs that we're looking at right now, and hopefully within the next 60 days we'll probably have a new single out. And then hopefully by fall, before Christmas, we'll have the record ready to go. But that's a whole long process. Once you get it finished, you still got to do a lot of work.
Oh yes. Oh yes. There's more to it. There's more to it than most people realize. Well, it's been a pleasure visiting with you, and I'm so excited that you're a part of TSE Entertainment for your booking, and just keep doing what you're doing. And I can't wait to get to a live show and see you.
Well, we appreciate you guys having us on for sure.
Yeah. So you were talking a lot about your wife. I forgot to ask you about your family.
Yeah. My wife Trish, and we're I have a son named Mason, and I've got he's got step siblings. We've got all sorts of big family, and it's really nice. And she's more than my 50% on all this stuff. She definitely helps me keep it all together. So I couldn't do it without.
Love it. Sounds like y'all make a really good team. So like when you're not working on music, which, I ask this question a lot to a lot of the artists just to get a background and a feel, on a personal side, any hobbies, or like if you have a day off, or if you had like say 5 or 6 hours free, is there any particular hobby or things that you like to go and do?
Well, I used to be able to say I love to read and do all sorts of stuff, and hunt and fish and all that kind of stuff. But with this music business the way it is now, I don't think I get 5 or 6 hours.
I know. I'm just putting it out there.
I use those to sleep, and to do, to help do laundry. It's the busier we get, the more ways we try to find to be able to do that stuff. But no, we love movies and stuff, and we love to go to Fredericksburg when we can.
Oh, yes.
And hang out there. So it's whatever we can do to get away a little bit when we can. Doesn't happen very often, but
yes, that's awesome. Well, okay, so before I let you go, there's always one question we ask on the bar. I like to ask the guests on the podcast. Okay, so if you were a cocktail, what would you be?
A Harvey Wallbanger.
Okay, with
I have no idea why I said that.
With some of your hot sauce on it.
Right.
The hot sauce thing is killing me.
The only reason I said that is literally because my grandpa used to have a sign in his garage that told you how to make a Harvey Wallbanger, and I have no idea. But no, seriously, we and you have to use some Silver Star vodka because we are sponsored by Silver Star Vodka. So you have to use the vodka and the hot sauce. So that made all sense.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, James, for joining us on the Texas Toast podcast, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you down the road. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.
And with a heavy tongue, she knew where I was from. As she left, I dared to say, well, you can go to hell. Hell, I'll go to Texas. I've had my fill of every place but home.